And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us, guys. Tonight I have the lovely Angeli Shaw from the Bliss Coach. Do you want to give a quick rundown of like what you do? Because you kind of like me, you have a lot of facets. Multifaceted woman.
Yes.
And I think, it'd be good to just kind of get a bit of like, I guess, your perspective on what it is, like what you call yourself apart from the Bliss Coach, obviously, what it is that you actually do. And obviously your niche is still salon owners predominantly, like you're like 90% salon owners, yes?
Yes. So the main reason why I'm predominantly salon owners is because, in case everyone didn't know, I am actually I was a salon owner for over 11 years. So my background is hairdressing, and I've been hairdressing now for, I think in about 3 days is like my 20-year hair anniversary.
That's so cool.
Actually, which is pretty exciting. I set a reminder in my phone every year, so that's nice. But from there, I have branched out into coaching. So I am the owner and founder of the Bliss Coach. I call myself a holistic empowerment coach because I believe that it's really important to, I guess, incorporate all aspects of your life. So I could have focused on one, like mind or body or business, but I felt with my experience, and I guess also with what I'm passionate about, it just made sense for me to cover everything. So as far as my background...
Like, you all think I'm a crazy crystal lady?
Oh, I'm nuts.
I fucking walk inside Angeli's house. There's actually no empty benches.
Show you my newest pride and joy just quickly. So this is appetite. I know appetite. I know I haven't eaten, so that's...
You have an appetite. That's
have an appetite. That's actually one of my favourites that sits nearby. But anyway, I digress. So part of my
crystal bottle here, but that's okay.
I've got one too, but there's no water in it. So
and then actually, I'll show you this too. This is always on my dining table. Don't mind all the champagne. It's just been my birthday. I've got like a big bowl in a clamshell full of crystals because I was I just need to be around them all. But yeah, you're like my crazy crystal lady. Just a gypsy in so many aspects. I love it.
Yes, definitely. So in regards to my coaching, I guess my main focus is mindset. But if I was to go a little bit deeper and elaborate with that, I work a lot with the conscious and unconscious mind. So I know that especially as of late, like the word mindset and how to have a positive mindset and have a growth mindset gets thrown around a lot. But I think that there's just so much more to having a growth mindset and a positive mindset than people just kind of giving you little tools and tricks. So I decided to go a lot deeper. I studied for over 12 months and I'm a certified consciousness coach. It's quite a mouthful and sometimes I don't say it right, but essentially I work with people's conscious and unconscious minds. So a lot of the time the things that we do, we don't actually do them consciously because it's just something in our unconscious. And so without going off in tangents too much, you know, in certain situations where you get anxious or if a certain person triggers you, sometimes we seriously have no idea why. We're just triggered, we feel shit, we get anxiety, we get depression all the time. And look, it even happens to me as well. It still does. But having an understanding of how your unconscious is connected to your conscious really does help to actually explain why we do what we do and why we react how we react, and trying to convert, I guess, you know, those reactions into responses, which is a more positive way.
I think too, like one thing that's like nails on a chalkboard for me, because obviously I've studied neurolinguistics. I've gone quite into like the psychology of buying and all sorts of other little facets around that too. But I fucking hate it when you go to a seminar and they're like, just think positive. Just give yourself affirmations. Just blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's fine. But we all have anxiety on some level. We all have beliefs, traumas, attachments, and we've attached certain feelings and reactions to certain things that have happened in our life, like you were saying, and you're unconsciously aware of it majority of the time. So it's so much harder than just waking up and going, I'm going to have a good day today. I'm going to pull myself out of this anxiety attack and feel positive. Like, it's fucking hard, and there's so much more to it, which is why I thought you are going to be the perfect person to interview here.
Look, in regards to that, there is just way more to it. Like, as I said, mindset and positivity and good vibes only, it's become this really massive thing. I guess also with social media and memes and sort of,
totally,
you know, quotes and that, it's thrown in your face constantly. But the thing is, and this is me speaking from personal experience, but I used to be one of those people that was like, yep, you know, I'm just going to think positive today, and I'd make excuses for shit that was happening to me. So I'd be like, oh, okay, you know, the universe must have wanted to teach me a lesson, and that's why that happened. And so what was happening was I wasn't actually dealing with my shit. I was just making excuses and masking it. And I know some other people use this term, and I've started to use it a lot more, but I call it the toxic positivity movement. So it's
oh my God, I'm living for this right
toxic
now.
Positivity. So look, it's basically where it is just completely unrealistic to turn around and say like good vibes only. At the end of the day, everything has an opposite: good, bad, light, dark, soul, ego, however you want to look at it. So by ignoring the other half of things, it creates an imbalance, and that's where it becomes toxic. So for me personally, when I went through that phase of positive, making excuses for everything, well, when shit got really bad or really hard for me, and I just ran out of excuses and I couldn't put that game face on anymore, I crashed. I literally crashed. And that's where I thought there has to be more to this than people just saying, you need to be positive, you need to be grateful, take your shoes off and walk outside and ground yourself, hold a crystal. And I mean, look, I'm all for crystal healing. I'm actually a certified crystal healer too. But there's just so much more to, you know, living a positive life than just basically trying to be positive. And the thing is too, it is exhausting. It is unrealistic, you know, to be happy all the time and basically suppress all the shit that comes up in life. Because when you suppress something, eventually it's going to come up. Something's going to trigger you, or you're going to come across a similar life event where it's going to come back up. So what we need to learn to do is to actually address what it is and find like tools that actually work through those issues, as well as accepting that there is going to be shit in life.
I also think sometimes you have to write it out. Like I've said that to probably 3 clients in the last week. I'm like, you actually need to write this out. You need to stop pretending it's not there, stop pushing it aside, work through it, and actually let yourself go through it and feel the emotions and feel the pain and do the hurt and just write it out. And you'll come out the other end feeling better.
Yeah, 100%. You need to process it. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like people that kind of hide their feelings, you know, like they've gone through something really full on, like a breakup or something like that. And you ask them, you know, are you all right? And they're like, yep, I'm okay. And I was guilty of that. So when I had a salon, I thought that as a salon owner, it was my job to, you know, hold game face and not show any, I wouldn't say not show any emotion, but I guess I didn't allow myself.
It's built into us.
I didn't allow myself to be human, I guess. And the thing is, I did it for a really long time. Like I could literally get out of my car after having a fight with my husband over something ridiculous, be in the foulest mood, and then walk through the front door of my salon and just be like, bang, game face. But again, over time, it just wasn't healthy because I was literally bottling up and suppressing basically all those emotions. So
do you want to have a little bit of a quick rundown of like what actually happened with your salon?
Yeah, sure. I know. Actually, gee whiz. No, it's fine.
People like you and people like Charlie, and I've had 2 clients in the last year that have done very similar things where we basically decided together that it was the best course of action. So you had a phenomenal business, I think. Great online following, incredibly talented hairdresser. Angeli's one of the very few people that went full-time to study hairdressing and came out the other end actually really good at what they do.
Yep. So I did the 12-month course. The only reason why I did that was because back when I decided to be a hairdresser, no one told me otherwise. So I didn't have any advice on what was preferred by employers. Once I qualified, besides being excited, I took a very long time to find a job. Back then, we didn't have Facebook, social media. Not everyone had a mobile phone. That shows my age.
Like, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Insta. I was still in my first 24-month phone plan when I bought a business too.
Oh gosh, I think I had a Nokia back then with Snake. Anyway, and the only way that I could find work was to literally print my resume out. I went through the yellow pages. I highlighted every single salon that I was willing to travel to within a reasonable distance to my house, and I hand delivered. I remember it was something like 80 something resumes.
Yeah, I did 54. I remember getting them printed. That's why I remember it was 54, because we went to Office Works to get them printed because we didn't have a computer. So
I didn't even have the internet at home. So yeah, so I did that, and it just happened to be that through a mutual friend, one of their staff members just didn't rock up for work one day, just didn't come back, and so a position was offered to me. So that's how I got my foot in the door with hairdressing, and besides the usual stuff, worked in a few salons. I always knew I wanted to own my own business. So I'm 36 this year. So a week before my 24th birthday, I opened up Blue Phoenix Hair Design. I had no business plan, no idea what I was doing. I literally opened the doors.
Like all of us.
Yeah.
I want to own a salon. It's going to be glamorous.
No, I sat behind my reception desk with a smile, and I sat there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the phone didn't ring once. And not one single client came in, and I just sat there all day smiling because I didn't have the internet in my salon at the start. Literally just sat there. And it probably wasn't up until, I'll say, about 4 or 5 years into my business, I got a business coach. The only reason why I didn't get one sooner is, I'll be honest, I didn't know they existed. Like
same.
Business
we went through it nearly at the same time too.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so had my salon for almost 11 years. I finished up with my salon last year in February. It's actually coming up to almost 12 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's flown.
Gone really quick.
I actually also feel like it's been forever because you've had so many other things kind of on the go too.
Yeah, well, probably about
babies, injuries.
Babies. Yeah, no, my husband's taken him to the fish and chip shop, so I'm sure I'll hear them. I'll hear them soon. But I'm trying to think where to start. So 3-4 years ago, my right arm started to get really, really sore when I was doing hairdressing. I know that's common amongst a lot of us, but it was excruciating, and I didn't understand why. My hips were starting to ache, and I thought, oh, is it my age? What's going on? So I went and saw all these specialists, and I finally got an answer. I am hypermobile. In a nutshell, if no one knows what hypermobility is, it basically means that my ligaments bend further than what they naturally should, which kind of sounds cool. And I show people all these tricks, like how there's other things I can do, but it might not be appropriate.
We'll save that for Paul.
I'm basically, whenever I do a motion with my body, I bend my joints further than what I should. So that's how I got the inflammation in my arm. And hypermobility is genetic and it's permanent. And so it has caused me to also have an unstable pelvis and have a lot of pain in my body. So I basically got told that I shouldn't keep hairdressing as my life career because it will essentially ruin my body. So I thought, okay, well, I'll start stepping back. And so when I started stepping back from the salon, that's when I decided to go down the coaching route, and that's when I started to study and learn some new things. But I basically slowly stepped off the floor, went from 5-4 3 days, and it would have been 2017. I decided at the end of that year to step off the floor completely. Now, I had an amazing team. I never had any issues hiring staff, to be honest. It's definitely not easy nowadays, but I can get onto that later. And probably about 3 weeks before the end of that year, or before we finished up, I got the unfortunate news that one of my seniors was diagnosed with cancer. So as horrible as that was, as a business owner, you go, okay, fuck, all right, we'll work it out.
And this was like diagnosis, instant treatment, straight out of the business.
The good news is she no longer has cancer. She got through it, which is amazing. But Christmas night, my other senior contacted me, and her brother-in-law, so horrible even thinking about it. Her brother-in-law was murdered on Christmas night up in the country somewhere. So I had one of my other best seniors / manager lose her brother-in-law. I had, in a nutshell, I've had a staff member commit suicide. I've had pretty much most of the horrible, shocking things that you can think of that happen to people, literally within this short period of time, happened in my salon. And so 2018 ended up being a really testing year for me, because I stepped back from the salon so I could focus on my coaching business.
And your health.
And my health. I also fell pregnant, not planned, great, got a little boy now, but I also fell pregnant. So I was, going through the pregnancy at the time. And I was also told, because of my unstable pelvis and ligaments, that there was a high possibility I was going to be wheelchair bound at the end of the pregnancy, but that didn't happen.
Yay!
But yeah, basically I just had a really unfortunate series of events happen in a short period of time with my staff. And I'm sure, as you guys can imagine, it's one thing when a staff member calls in sick, or someone leaves unexpectedly. It does have an impact on the salon. But when you've got all these staff members with all these unfortunate experiences and scenarios, literally like, I can't come to work, I need 6 months off, I need a month off, it really, really did impact the business. And because I wasn't there full time, I was popping in regularly. I guess I was relying on my manager to keep up the culture and everything that I'd implemented.
Because at one stage it got down to just you and her, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like it was like this is how, like, she'd gone from a team of 5 or 6 high generating salon, going really well, to all of a sudden sort of like 4 people leaving for trivial reasons that you can't control.
Yeah.
For long periods of time. And also a cunt of a staff member that quit on your honeymoon.
Oh, that's another story. That's another story.
But like down to like literally one, like you and your manager, and you not being able to physically get the work done.
Well, that's it.
Without destroying yourself.
I did step back in slightly, but again, it was like, step back in and make money or ruin my body. So I was really, really torn with that. And I had the coaching business and I was pregnant. So trying to recruit one senior can already be a really, really difficult task. Trying to recruit 3 plus is even harder. So I didn't want to...
Because you had an odd problem too. Like, you had a problem that, I mean, most people want it, where you had stupid amounts of clients and not enough people to actually service the clients.
Ridiculous amount.
Yeah, and we've been like this before as well, where it's like you literally just you cannot get enough people in there to actually cover the clients. Like, and it's actually a nightmare problem, because people don't come back. Yeah.
Well, look, I was very fortunate. I got onto the whole kind of Facebook marketing bandwagon before all the algorithm stuff changed and it got really crazy. So I managed to build up my salon page to over 30,000 people. No, they're not all clients, but I still got a lot of business through my social media. And then when Instagram started, I got it through that, to the point where I actually stopped doing Google AdWords, because it wasn't even about staff. My salon was at full capacity. But then, as I said, as I was losing staff, we had all these clients to service, not enough staff members. I'm sure that Caitlyn's taught you guys all about knowing your numbers and your break even. So of course I was watching that figure as well. And look, it basically just got to a point where the salon was breaking even. I was still making a little bit of profit, but on paper, if you looked at it, it was basically very slowly going like this, if I didn't find the right staff members. Now, I did find one senior who was absolutely, was past tense, was absolutely amazing, ticked all the boxes, came in, did a trial, fantastic. She came in for her first day of work, and I told her not to park in certain streets because we've got a mixture of all day and 2-hour parking. She decided to park in the 2-hour parking and got a fine. And I could tell that she was pretty shitty about it. She didn't come back to work the next day. Literally, just didn't come back. And so I thought, no, you know what? I am spreading myself so thin right now with a baby, with the coaching business, with the salon. Something's got to give. I can't wear all those hats. And so I made a decision based on financials to basically close the salon. Now, I don't say close down because I think that already in itself sounds quite negative, but we own the property. So when I opened my salon 11 years ago, it was basically opened with the intention of never selling it unless I relocated it. But because of my circumstances, I wasn't going to go out and relocate my salon with not enough staff.
Totally.
And then,
yeah, totally.
So I made the call, and you know what? I've always been really good with my numbers. So I ended it on a good note, completely debt-free, all supplies paid out with money in my bank account, which was fantastic. To the point as well, if I don't know if anyone else knows this, but if anyone has ever gone on an ATO payment plan, once you pay it off, you can actually get your accountant to apply for your interest to be refunded.
Yep, I've had it done. I've had it done twice now. Exceptional circumstance, they'll waive all your interest, so they drop it back in.
Well, I was
Thank you very
lucky
much.
because they didn't even ask my circumstances. They just refunded most of the interest, so that was great. I did sell my database. That is a very controversial topic because I know that there are some people that are 100% against and some are for. It's not something that works for everyone. I was very fortunate.
I also think though, if you're closing the physical salon, your plan was never to go work from home or move to another job.
No.
It's an asset that you're selling. It's like selling your furniture.
Well, I still had 3 staff members when I closed up. One moved back to Adelaide and I had 2 others. The 2 staff members that were left, I basically helped them find employment in the same salon, and that's the salon that I sold the database to. So on top of that, I also cross-marketed and basically sent messages out to all our clients, recommending them to that salon and saying that my staff
You worked hard
there.
for it.
And she has definitely, it's been well worth her purchasing my database. So there are ways to go about it.
How did you price that? Just off topic.
The coach that I had at the time helped me price it. Because look, there was a lot of emotions running through as well. I was literally, closing my baby. So I did get a coach to help me price that up and actually do the negotiations. And what helped as well was that coach was not only coaching me, they were coaching the salon
as well.
So it was kind of, it wasn't like they were going to be taking sides. They were basically going to do what was in the best interests of both of us. And so it worked out really well.
And I mean, that's probably similar to what happened with me when I sold my salon to Loz. Loz worked there, managed it, did all the stock, knew everything that went in and out, and essentially knew everything that went on. So that was Angeli's salon history and history in a nutshell. No, I just was I give them a bit of an idea because your story is different to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people can't sell, but you've chosen to actually close down, which was, I think, really, really smart. Clear all your stuff, clear all your debts, and live a happier, more, I guess, just a happier, more fulfilled life.
Don't get me wrong. People say to me, they're like, oh, you must cringe at the idea of opening another salon. Look, I don't. I'm not the type of, I never say never. Okay, you can, I never say never, but to be honest, I'm really loving coaching people and what I do. And because it is mindset and things that I'm really into, it fills my cup. So yeah.
Awesome. So a bit of a debrief. It's funny that you mentioned that you were like a whiz on Instagram. So Angeli and I actually met on Instagram.
I was waiting for you to bring that up. I was waiting for you to bring that up.
About how I know the people I'm about to interview, I'm about to talk to. So Angeli and I both young, what I was about to say, young doubles will come, kind of were, really young, naive business owners, stalking Evo, was searching the Evo hashtag because hashtags had just become a thing. Oh my God, this salon's in Footscray. Or she's super weird like me. She's got turf in her salon. She stocks Evo. And it's like, do you live in Geelong? That's 45 minutes away. Come down and have lunch. And we caught up and had lunch. We had a couple of friends in common. You had some friends in Geelong. I had some friends in that area of town in Melbourne. Yeah. And then kind of the rest is history. So we've done a New York Fashion Week together. We have
6 years ago now. Pretty much to the day.
We met in 2011.
Oh my Lord.
I know, or 2010. It was a while.
It was ages ago.
It was ages ago. But I feel that both of us started as, I want to say this in the nicest way, arrogant young business owners who thought we knew our shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had no fucking idea.
Yeah, I thought I
and
knew
we've
everything.
kind of like grown and changed together. And we used to always, because we both used to finish work like psychos at 11 o'clock at night, like you do sometimes, get on the phone to each other. We'd like shower on the phone to each other and just live our lives. And we were each other's leaning on because we didn't have coaches and stuff back then. There wasn't coaching circles, there wasn't groups. So that's probably in a nutshell how we met and became friends and stayed friends. And
that's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So really loving all of your topics and questions that you guys provided. So I've kind of nutted them into like sort of 6-7 questions, but I want to kick it off with this one. So I feel like it's very common. I feel like, especially at the moment, I feel like the hype of January is kind of worn off. We're now in February. It's like, all right, let's get serious. We're 2 months into the year. People taking on board staff problems, client problems, negative language, other people's shit, and just wearing it like a big heavy weight on top of their shoulder. So can you maybe talk to me about how to, like, you know, learn to shirk off other people's stuff, not carry other people's stuff, and just kind of really get out of a negative headspace?
Well, I mean, there's a very simple saying that very simple saying that I always bring up, and the saying's care, don't carry. So I think that
I just got a message to the group going, I love all of your cushions and
I read that on the side too, and I was trying to ignore it so I can concentrate.
A big lump of puppy.
Look, I think as business owners, you know, you do genuinely care for your staff, and so, you know, your team, and when they're going through stuff, you know, you don't want to be like, oh, whatever, I don't want to hear it, I don't care. But I think that sometimes we can almost we can, and I was guilty of it too, where it's like you can be there and listen to them and hear them out and care, but after that, that's where it has to stop. So one thing that I explain to people is when you speak to someone else about a problem that you have, what you're actually doing is you're like sharing the load of that problem. So even though the other person's not going through it, and this is very much the same as if you go speak to a counselor or a psychologist, you're sharing the pain. That's what you're doing. You're talking it out. They're there. They can feel it. But this is where, you know, as business owners, we need to learn to set boundaries as well, because from my own experience, I used to really take on the stuff that my staff would, you know, come to me. I'd want to fix everything for them. I'd want to make them feel better.
Totally fixes.
You know, you not want to give them time off work, but it's almost like you'd want to do anything to make them better or feel better, but then it was to the detriment of your business. So I know a lot of people really struggle to say it, but we all need to put ourselves first. We're number one. So a perfect example for that in my life is when I fell pregnant with my son, and I'm not going to lie, kids weren't on my radar. I fell pregnant and I was like, oh, right, let's do this, whatevs, right? And I've got a beautiful son. But it's one of those things where in order to be the best wife, the best mum, the best boss, the best friend, you need to fill your cup first and you need to put yourself first. So, and that's not being selfish. I know the sayings are out.
No, it's not selfish at all. It's actually not.
But yeah, in order to be those things, you need to put yourself first. And so I learned very quickly that that's something that I needed to do in my salon, because what was happening was I was taking on everyone else's stuff. It was depleting me. I was tired. I was taking it home to my husband. I wasn't enjoying going into the salon. So I guess look, in regards to your staff, it is definitely about setting boundaries. So, you know, if someone comes in and they're like, oh, you know, and you're like, oh, you know, what's up, what's going on, and they tell you, that's where, you know, as a salon owner and as a boss, you hear them and you care, but you don't carry it. So, you know, just you basically need to.
This is the hard thing to define too.
It's hard. So care, don't carry. So you can be like, I'm really sorry. You know, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Are you okay? If they say, yeah, I am, go, awesome, move on, get on with it. Don't get put any more into the conversation. If they say they're not okay, that's where you have to say to them, okay, well, are you able to work today? And if they say, yes, I am, go, great. Are you able to give 100% today? If they can't give 100%, I know it's easier said than done sending someone home, because then you've got to reshuffle things. But you need your staff to all give 100%, because if you let that one person show up, 90%, 95%, and the rest of the team members see that, that's basically giving them permission to come to work and to show up at 90% or 95%. So you're setting a precedent. So then if someone else comes in and they're like, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, and you're like, you know what, babe, we've got a really busy day today. I'm sorry to hear about that. I need you to get on with it. They're probably going to get the shits up because they've seen you let another staff member kind of carry their stuff around at work. So it's definitely something that you need to be really, really consistent with. And I know the guilts kick in and everyone's like, oh, but I feel bad. What if they think I'm an asshole? This is another thing you have to remember. You
You're
cannot
not their
control
fucking friend.
Well, but you can't control other people's thoughts, and you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're thinking. So if you turn around and say to a staff member, yep, I'm sorry to hear that, but Mrs. Jones is here and I really need you to get started on her. They're not going to turn around and go, oh, well, you're an asshole, and get it. Well, if they do, you fire them. But you don't know what they're thinking. So making assumptions and speculating, then all you're doing is basically filling your head with stuff that is, it's a maybe, it's a what if, it's not definite. And that's where we also have to learn to get out of our own heads too when we're dealing with situations like this, because then your staff will feel it if you start to carry that with you as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love.
Woo.
So I think like something that I always think about here, and I guess this was something that, learning to separate yourself from other people's crap and sort of stay true to yourself and not carry it, not wear anyone else's stuff. It's like, okay, I grow cactuses. I'm trying to think of a metaphor. So I grow cactuses in my backyard, right? They're all along my fence. And every once in a while, I get these big ass weeds come up under my fence. And they're actually not from my property. They're from the other person's property. Are they my problem? Yes. Are they the other person's problem? Yes. Can I do anything about it? Not really. I can only control my half of the fence. I don't. I drop poison over their fence. But you can't control what goes on the other side of the fence. You can only control your reaction to things, how you carry things afterwards, and obviously how you take it on board. Yeah. So you actually do need to learn to just deal with your part of it and let the rest of it go. And that's really fucking hard to do, especially for an anxious person. I am an anxious person, but let it go. It's not yours. It's not your shit. Clients in a foul mood, fuck off. That's not my problem. What's happened to them that morning? Not my business, not my problem. It's nothing to do with me.
In regards to anxiety, so while you bring it up, again, look, we all go through it, whether it's mild, severe, whatever it is, and the same with depression. But what people need to remember is that depression generally is associated with dwelling on thoughts of the past. And when you get anxious, it's basically you thinking about things in the future. What people need to remember is that you can't change the past and the future hasn't happened yet. So it's something that literally takes daily practice. And, it's probably something that I will practice for the rest of my life. But I know
I have to as well. And I have to do it every day.
Look, again, another saying that's thrown around, is be present. And look, it is important to try to be present. And especially in this salon scenario with what we've been talking about, you really just, as a salon owner, have to just bring yourself back to the now. So not worry about what if with the staff, or, oh, that's happened, can't change it. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know until it actually happens and you experience it. So this whole being present and focusing on the now is really, really important.
Yeah.
It takes practice. So, and don't be hard
and I
on
think
yourself.
and I think that again goes back to me before being like, and what we were talking about before, people just like, oh, I just live a positive life. I'm just happy every day. Like, you're not. You do need to work on it every day, though. You have to be consciously working on it every day.
Yes.
And you have to learn to be able to get into tune with your unconscious mind as well to bring yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Or know when you're being completely irrational.
Yes.
So,
that was another topic
in terms of
irrational. Sorry, your words. I'm like, oh, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, literally. It's funny because we've studied with different people, but we've actually done a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you have two people that learn the same thing, what they take away from it and how they interpret it, because obviously you do all your pieces of information. So probably a good one too, and I think this is like, I've got a lot of clients who are mums. I've actually got a lot of clients who are multi-salon owners as well.
Yeah.
Balancing home and a work life. I think you're like perfect example of that. Sometimes you want to burn everything down, like all of us. But
oh gosh.
Tips to balancing a home and work life and coping with like stress, busyness, overwhelm. Mum guilt's a huge one that comes up, but also business guilt. So, you know, being a lot of my clients are off the floor of their businesses. I guess, yeah, how to not feel guilty about not being at home with kids.
Yeah, look,
with
the whole like business guilt. So, you know, if you have stepped off the floor slightly or fully, I can relate to that, where I felt a little bit guilty thinking, oh, you know, like I'm not in there and my staff are. But look, the plain and simple of it is they're paid to do it. They're getting paid to do a job. That's it.
Yep.
You know, it's not what you're, as a salon, as a business owner, you are the one that is taking the financial risk. The risk is all on you, not on the staff. So whatever happens in your business, whether it be you have no-shows, cancellations, the power goes out, whatever happens, at the end of the day, your staff get paid. No matter what they do, they just have to show up to work and do their job, and they get paid, and they've got sick leave and annual leave and all that stuff. As business owners, we're the ones with the financial burden. We're the ones taking the risk. So I explained that to my staff a while ago, because I felt that there was a little bit of, I don't think bitterness is the right word, but I think maybe a little bit of resentment that I was off the salon floor. But I explained that to them, and they got it when I put it like that. Like literally, I said to them, every minute you are in the salon, you are paid to do it. You are paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so balancing home and work life.
This one's huge, because again, with technology and social media and phones and everything, it is so easy to allow your work life to go into your home life. Now, I understand that a lot of people have Facebook pages where clients message, Instagram, same thing. I was really, really strict with my like social media emails, that sort of like online inquiries, where I set up auto replies to basically say like, you've contacted us outside of salon hours, someone will be in contact with you within these hours. You need to set boundaries and you need to stick to them. Because the second you reply to someone at 2 a.m., they're gonna keep messaging you that late. You know, don't get into your head and feel bad or guilty if you don't reply straight away. At the end of the day, really, replying after hours shouldn't be expected. Some people do, but that's their thing. So you really need to set boundaries with what sort of work stuff you allow to come into your personal life. And a lot of it's time management too, So knowing how long something's going to take you, you know, delegating the time for it and sticking with it as well.
Yeah.
Because I was guilty of it. I felt like at one stage I was constantly doing work at home. And when I really, really broke it down, a lot of that time was scrolling. You know, I was like, I'm checking my Facebook business, and then you get distracted and you start scrolling. So it's about there is a lot of discipline involved as well. I mean, as salon owners, we need to be open to the fact that there are things that can happen and change, but really so much of it is discipline and time management and just setting boundaries, even with your staff. So down to if they need to contact you after hours, how they go about it, or if they're calling in sick, how they go about it. I lost count how many times when I first opened my salon where I didn't have those rules, where I'd get a staff text me at midnight, you know, I'm vomiting or something like that. And I'm just like, nah, I've got to come up with a structure for this. And I did. And if they didn't follow the structure, they were reminded.
Yeah. I think that's probably a big thing too. Like there's two sides to this: enabling your family and your personal life to interfere with business, and allowing your business to interfere completely with your home life too. Yeah.
And the other way.
It's both.
The other way around as well.
Totally. Because I mean, I had a client the other day and I was very strong with her in my group, and she thanked me for it. I was like, oh, I might be pushing a bit hard here.
Yeah.
On her honeymoon, staff have called her 17 times, book's quiet. I'm like, do you not understand that you are enabling that behavior? You are letting that happen.
Yeah.
If my staff call me and I don't want to answer, I don't answer. They'll work it out. Oh, the alarm doesn't turn on. Okay, we'll call the fucking alarm people. I'm not going to, what do you want me to do from home? I know that's really rude, but you enable their shit behavior. You enable them contacting you. You enable them interrupting you. My phone, I even texted you before, I was like, my phone's on do not disturb. And I don't do this at work, but as soon as I get home, phone's on do not disturb until about 9 o'clock the next morning when I go to work, literally. Do not disturb, don't contact me, don't want to know, don't care. I'll check my messages and everything when I want to, because I was the same as you. I'd end up scrolling.
Yeah.
The other thing I find too is, family time interrupting with business, but that's not so much of a problem as the latter. I leave my laptop at work too a lot of the time, so I don't sit on the couch and whatever.
I mean, discussing my honeymoon. So look, I went overseas for 5 weeks. I was very anxious about going for 5 weeks because
I did an 8-week when I had a salon.
Yeah. But I wanted to enjoy my holiday. And so my staff were basically just told, if it's not bleeding and it's not burning, don't contact me. And
I told Charlie, I was like, you are the gatekeeper for everybody when I did my 8 weeks. You're the gatekeeper. Everyone goes through you. The place burns down. I don't give a fuck. Find someone else to work. I actually don't care, because what am I going to do from it for fucking Mexico?
Well, my manager knew, and I was contacted once on my honeymoon, and that is because literally one of my staff members handed in a resignation as my plane was taking off.
It hurts me. And I think I got a phone call being like, I'm about to board the freaking plane and I've just had a resignation. I'm like,
and, look, I dealt with it swiftly, and I reached out to who I could, my coach, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, there was absolutely nothing I could do because I was heading overseas. So they worked it out.
I think this is a huge contributor to anxiety and to wearing yourself down and to overwhelm and burnout, is actually trying to control things that you cannot control.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's really, really hard. And like, when you learn to just, like, I've got one of my like really long-term is finishing up in 2 weeks. She's one of my barbers. Breaking my heart. She's moving away. I knew it was going to come, but like, there's nothing I can do about that. I've had people open their own business 2 minutes down the road. Like, okay, it's annoying. Yeah, it upsets me, but you can't control what they're doing. Like, let it go. Moving on.
Well, look, it's very much the same.
Thin.
It's very much the same before we started this Zoom meeting. Like, I won't lie, probably a couple of years ago, if that was happening where I couldn't get on, I would have been freaking out. Like,
rocking on the floor.
I would have been like this. And then by the time I actually got onto the Zoom, it would have been very visible that I was anxious and freaking out. Whereas tonight I was just like, well, what do you do? If it connects, it connects. If it doesn't, we'll work something else out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any cool team building, bonding strategies, exercises, anything like that can that you do with your staff or did with your staff or do with the salons that you train, because you train in a lot of salons, about how to lift the morale, how to get them communicating, how to get them working together?
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably a big thing. I feel like maybe it's industry wide, maybe it's just in my coaching circle a little bit, and even my own businesses. I feel there's a little bit of a disconnect at the moment. And, I have my methods, so I'd love to know yours.
Yeah. Well, look, I used to have I had weekly one-on-one meetings with each of my staff members, and then every Friday morning I would have a big, team meeting with all the girls. And it took me a while to really work it out and nail kind of what to do. But at the start, it was your generic team meeting, numbers, targets. Business. And I realized that at the end of the day, they just really weren't engaging. So I found that really mixing it up helped. So sometimes I can't remember the name of the documentary, but I remembered once I played them a hair documentary just to get them thinking, and it was actually a Reset, and it's got Howard McLaren in it. Highly recommend for everyone to watch that one, and even with your team. I won't get into it. It will take a while. But there was that. I remembered when a lot of shit was going down. When a lot of shit was going down in the salon, I did like a group meditation with the girls, or
So I've done this as well, and I once actually got, it was Christmas week, and I actually got a facilitator to come in and guide them through it, and it was the cutest thing ever. They all wore blankets and pillows and just like had a bit of a snooze on our beautiful, comfortable concrete floors. I love that too, thinking outside of the box.
Well, thinking outside of the box, I mean, look, there were also team meetings where I do, like motivation activities. I'd always try to find how do I explain it? Just those little exercises that you do in a group where when it's done, everyone's like, oh, wow. So one that I can remember, and I only did it once with my team because it would have meant nothing if I did it again. But I basically gave everyone a little birthday candle, got them all to stand in a circle, and they obviously had to hold it out like this safely so they didn't burn themselves. And then I went around and lit the candle, and I asked them to close their eyes. And once everyone had their eyes closed, I asked them to blow the candle out with their minds. Now, it's really funny to watch when your eyes are open because all you see is all these people going, right? Like giving it a crack, which is amazing. But realistically, no, you cannot blow a candle out with your mind. So anyway, I'd ask them to open their eyes and they'd be shocked, but sort of surprised that the candle was still lit. And I'd explain to them that nothing happens without action and then ask them to blow the candle out.
Oh, I love this.
And it's a good one. So, I mean, again, we can really go off topic here, but that can also relate to like manifesting and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, having a positive mindset and manifesting things it helps contribute, but you still need to take action and you still need to do things. So I actually went to a seminar today. I got home an hour or so before. For those that haven't heard of Jordan Belfort, he's the I got a free book and he signed it.
Oh, what up?
I know, and he signed it. Anyway, Wolf of Wall Street. I actually went to a seminar with him, so I was really, really fascinated by him. And he was actually talking about manifestation, and he was saying, and he's quite blunt and he swears like a trooper, but he was basically saying that, I can sit here, cross my legs, take deep breaths and surround myself with, candles and crystals and everything and like say, right, I'm going to manifest a $25,000 check in my letterbox and it's just going to be in there. But it just doesn't work that way. You need to take action as well as have that positive, that growth mindset towards things. I mean, look, if anyone can manifest a $25,000 check in their letterbox, please tell me.
Teach me all the things.
Teach us all the things. But it goes hand in hand, your mindset and your actions as well. It goes together.
Yeah. I love that too, because I think so many people, and like, look, I've had it happen even in my coaching circle. I've actually ended up letting people out of it where they do want a magic wand and they want an instant solution, and it's actually not how things happen. But when you focus on the outcome that you want and you focus on the dream and you focus on where you want things to go, and every day you're doing something towards that, it's going to happen a lot quicker.
That's it. Like law of attraction works, but it's not just a matter of just thinking about it. You've got to think, you've got to act, you've got to do, you've got to surround yourself with people that are going to help you achieve that goal and uplift you. You've got to remove the people that drag you down or the circumstances, or if you're always tired, get more sleep, or if you're feeling unhealthy, exercise. Like it's constant action. And when you do all those things, you will find that your mindset will lift. You will feel more positive. You'll be more inspired and more motivated to do things that will help lead you to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yep. So off topic, I'll give you one of my little strategies that I do, and I've done it in a couple of salons that I train in. So it's a communication exercise, and it's actually really, really funny as well, because I love doing funny shit that makes people really uncomfortable, like you with your candles when they're looking at, they're trying to have a poop because they're trying to mentally blow out a candle. So something that I do, and you guys will love this, I got 4 big long pieces of string about 2 meters long. You need at least 4 people to do this, but you can have 10 people on this if you want. I did it when I had a staff of 10, and Lozzie's here because she'll laugh because she was actually in it as well.
Lauren's here. Yay.
Watching people freak out. What you do is you get all of your staff blindfolded and they hold their hands out in front of them like this. From there, you actually lay a piece of string out in all their hands. The 4 pieces are all in a line all together. From there, they're all blindfolded, by the way. So from there, you're like, cool, I need you to put all of those pieces of string end to end in a square while you've got your blindfolds on. I had an apprentice cry. I had one lie on the ground because she was like, I just can't do this. I just don't know where I am. It is the most amazing communication exercise because they have to learn to use their words. They've lost their senses. They can touch, they can use their words, they can't see anything, they can hear things, but doing fun things like that, and there's so much stuff like available on the internet.
Oh, you can Google team building activities, and there's all sorts of stuff. There's one about shoving a straw through a potato. Anyone? Would anyone
Now
believe?
you got to say it.
I know this is so random, but when you actually picture a potato, and I mean a decent sized potato, if I said to you that you could slam, like basically push a straw through a potato, a plastic straw through a potato, do you think you could do it? Or would you think that the straw would like bend and
Crumble,
yeah.
bend.
So long story short, I was a skeptic. So I'm here with these Hungry Jack straws that my mentor stole while they were driving down. And I'm like slamming these straws into this potato and I'm like scratching the potato and the straws are splitting. And my mentor basically came up to me and said, Angela, just fucking do it. Like you can do it. And so, I took a moment and literally I just went bang and the straw went straight through.
So it's the same as...
It's trippy, but you have to believe that you can do it. If there's any doubt, like tiniest bit of doubt, you won't get it through. But literally, like a Hungry Jack's or Macca's straw through a potato and it'll go all the way through. All the way
Has
through.
anyone ever karate chopped a board?
I haven't, but I've watched many.
So it is the same thing as
yeah,
the potato.
actually,
you sit down there and you're like, and you like can't get through. But once you actually picture your hand going through it and you're allowing yourself to do it, and it can be it's thick. Like mine was an inch thick, I think.
Yeah.
Straight through, bang.
Yeah, and something like that can actually be quite well. I mean, I don't know if everyone wants to go out and buy like blocks of timber. Potatoes are probably cheaper, but even something like that, getting your team to do that can be very
just be careful that they hold it away from the face and
stuff like that would be a good way to build up morale as well, because if they can do it, which they can, they just have to believe they can. It's
and I think a couple of things totally. I think like in terms of good juju, love a bit of good juju. We actually make like a real good point of this. So every year we go away for hair exposure group. Not everybody can always make it. Obviously, we usually had a pretty big team, but trying to do some things that lift the vibes and really make them think positively. So we did little compliments for each other. So like little notes. So everybody had a piece of paper with everybody's name on it, and everybody wrote something they liked about the other person. And it wasn't allowed to be words like they're kind, they're nice. Like you actually had to think of something really specific. Yeah. And then we all handed it back to the person with their name on it, and they actually handed it to the person beside them and they read it out. So those sorts of like good juju activities. Another really good one, if you're feeling a bit down in the dumps, because I think that only gets a bit forgotten about, 10 things I love about my salon. Yeah. Plain and simple. Everyone can think of something negative. Oh, that bitch of a client, that product I hate. My sales are never good enough. Like, but actually thinking about the positives and getting them to read it to you or getting them to give it to you.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and I think too, we also need to remember that doing things that do not involve the salon and do not involve hair and do not involve clients, that's something that's really important too. Because when, you can take your stuff out to like a beautiful restaurant and, whatever, they can be ordering like $130 Wagyu steaks and all that fancy stuff. But if you bring work...
Can you take me for $130 Wagyu steak?
I had one today, but my brother paid for it. Polly Creek paid for it. So that's my brother and my husband's business. Like if you take them out and you bring up work, then it's just not as fun anymore because it's work. So even just organising little things where there's literally no salon chat, like you almost make it a rule. Don't bring up a client. Don't bring up your day tomorrow. I don't want to hear about you, whatever, next week and how booked out you are. Let's just all be here and just, be present and enjoy. And that I find really, really helps too. So I used to take my team up to, there was a cafe on the next corner. We'd have breakfast every Saturday morning together and salon talk was banned. I used to also once, twice a year, depending, I'd take like my staff to Dalesford, for example. So just hire an Airbnb, food, pajamas, whatever. Again, no work talk, stuff like that. And that actually really helped with team building and building like a mutual respect for each other too.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. I think we do, like I make an effort to always get my meetings out of the barbershop if I can, or out of the office. And we have like, in my office, we have lunch together every Monday. The barbers just being that they're never all there on the same day. It is hard, but just getting them out and actually doing something. We've done heaps of stuff. We do rock climbing. Rock climbing is a great encouragement, using your voice, team building thing.
I'd be worried about breaking a nail.
Oh yeah, don't worry. There was that.
That's just me though. I wouldn't choose that because I'd be like, I'm going to stand here. Same with bowling. I'm like, no bowling.
But getting about and actually watching your other staff encourage people. And we have a lot of staff that were scared of heights. So getting about and actually encourage them to get up and like climb heights. And like, it is amazing when you don't look down and you focus on the top, how high you can actually get, and also just watching them all encourage each other, because it is essentially a solo thing, but it's more about words of encouragement.
I'm so jealous. I can see someone eating. Is it Kira? Is that, yeah?
Yep.
I'm like, share your food with
So Kira's a bit unwell, but she's just said, I asked my staff to go away with me and they didn't want to. So can you elaborate a little on like what your plans were, or did you tell them what the plans were, or was it an inconvenient time? Or hang on, I'll unmute you. Do you mind if I unmute you? She's about to shove a mouthful of food in.
Hello.
Sorry, mouthful of food, you poor little sickie.
Yeah, I'm sick and coughing. You can probably see me coughing, and I'm trying to eat because I'm so hungry. I didn't eat all day. But I pretty much, like, it was just for like our staff party at the time. And I said, like, you know, I gave them like maybe 3 or 4 dates and said what suit me. They either didn't get back to me, or pretty much just weren't keen to go away for like a couple of days, like an Airbnb with like a spa and everything, and like a massage and all of that. And yes, they just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to get them on board sometimes, or they either like are too cool to like hang out.
Yeah, that can be a little bit of a tough one if you feel like the dynamic's not gelling, I guess. One point I did have a bit of a combo in my team where not every, like, it was chalk and cheese. Everyone was opposite. So I guess sometimes you need to just bring it back to basics, and rather than, you know, like really nice gestures like facials or whatever, like having dinner, bring it back to something really simple, like in salon that they can do. Like it might be okay, now I'm trying to think on the spot. It could
either bring it back to something small where you do get them out of the salon, but maybe not for a whole day.
Maybe creating like a vision board together, or like a mood board together, or something. Just
making something with your hands.
Yeah,
play stuff like that's really good.
Just to get them to connect a little bit. I mean, look, we all know in hairdressing, everyone's got different personalities. Not everyone is going to be friends, but there still needs to be like a mutual respect between everyone. And you need everyone to have a team player attitude, because that is the only way a salon is going to work, if everyone works as a team. So none of this, these are my clients, this is my chair, you know, whatever, and all that. Everyone needs, because it just works and it flows so much better. If you do find that you're struggling, where you might have a staff member that just does not want a bar of it, you know, or does not want to be involved in anything, you might just need to really just sit down and just have an open and honest talk about why, you know, and you never know, they might actually turn around and give you an answer, and you might then you can come up with a solution for it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, guys, if you see me twitching around, I've literally just gotten like the most epic cramp in my calf. So I'm fine, but just if you see me like doing some weird stuff, I'm trying to stretch it out.
And yeah, another thing there is that we did often have some people that couldn't because of child arrangements or other things, or just not wanting to go.
Yeah.
Some people just don't like it. Just shorten it, keep it in work time, or just on a Monday or something that's a bit easy, but keep it short, 3 hours, go do something, go do an activity, and you just, make it. If it's in work time, they can't say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Not ideal, but it is.
Every minute, that's it. And that's another thing too. Every minute they're at work, like I said, they're being paid. So if you ask them to do something in work hours, whatever that is, they're getting paid for it. So they should do it.
So that kind of leads well into like what we've been talking about again, dealing with conflicting personalities.
Yeah.
Mentoring your staff through that.
Fun. So like I said, not everyone is going to get along. And the thing that actually makes salons amazing is the fact that, you know, we do have diversity and different personalities. So if you find that staff members are conflicting, one thing that I found doesn't work is just sitting them down and saying, right, what's going on? Talk it out. That sometimes can get people to literally like put a wall up and get really, really defensive. So it's that's definitely a no. Don't go about it that way.
Something I do is actually get them to swap positions. So like if me and Angeli had a conflicting, a actual actual issue or a conflict or an incident that had happened, getting her to be me and me to be her. And it's so funny to see how the other person thinks the other person is.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Sometimes it actually makes them see it from a different perspective.
Well, that's it. It gives them an insight into the other person and their point of view. So sometimes doing something like that is actually a really good thing, because it will broaden their perspective and get them to see things, see things from a different point of view. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, not everyone is going to get along, and not everyone is going to, necessarily like each other. But again, when you're employed in a business, you're there to do a job, you're there to show up a certain way. If there is an issue, so if there is a genuine issue and that's the reason why you're conflicting or it's not working out, they need to speak up. And if they don't speak up, that's where, as a salon owner, you need to use your intuition as well as what you see, and you need to call it out and speak to those people individually. Because if you allow the conflict to continue, it will grow, and it will get way, way harder to resolve that the longer it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I try and do, like this is actually a relationship strategy as well, is actually chunking the situation up. So, okay, why is that a problem for you? And why is that a problem for you? I've probably done it to you in your coaching sessions before. Like, actually get to the source of the problem. Or the other way, going, okay, so, and why do you want to do that? And why do you want to do that? And why do you have that behavior? And why you have that behavior? Because what you actually find, example, in a marriage breakdown, what you'll actually find is that you're both doing it because you both love each other, or you want to do the best for your kids, or you want to, and you actually have the same common reason. It's just a different pathway that you use to get there. Yep. So sometimes when you actually realize that the other person's in it for the same reasons you are, then you're like, oh, so we're both just doing the same thing. Cool. Or when you work out that you both actually got the same problem with each other, you're like, okay, cool. So she's always snappy with me, but I'm always snappy with her. So now we just got to stop being snappy with each other. Does that make sense? So chunk it up or chunk it down to whatever you like, get to the root, get to the source. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's got a different perspective on situations, and also, where that perspective comes from. So I, how long ago was it now? 2 years ago now, I spoke at a seminar, and it was a bunch of hairdressers. And I remembered, I giggled afterwards, but I remembered asking the whole room, I said to everyone, right, who here has an ego? No one put their hand up. No one.
Everyone has an ego.
Everyone was like, oh, no, not me. And so
people don't know what an ego is.
Yeah, so I told the whole room, I'm like, hey, guess what, guys? All of you have an ego. We all have an ego. So again, look, depending on your beliefs, I talk ego soul. That's how I talk. But going down, specifically talking about the ego. So the ego is where your fears come from. But what people need to realize and learn is, when it comes to fears, there's 2 types. There's rational fears and there's irrational fears. So for example, a rational fear would be if someone was running towards you with a knife and you got really, really, really scared, and that is totally rational. Spiders or whatever else.
Kidding.
An irrational fear would be getting up in the morning and putting on a brand new dress that you bought and going, no, maybe I shouldn't wear this. People might think I look fat in it. That's an irrational fear. So another thing with conflict with staff, as a salon owner, if you can learn to tell the difference between whether they've got a rational or an irrational fear in the situation, that can really help to resolve it too. Because if it's rational, it's something that you can address. If it's irrational, again, that's also something that you can address. But you need to know the fears
stem from somewhere.
Yeah.
They stem from past traumas, past things, past incidences.
Yep.
So, I love that. So strategies to how to put yourself in good vibes in the morning. Let me get my list.
I giggle because I had a ritual before I had a baby, and then that completely changed when I didn't. So I don't know who in here is mums and who aren't, but what I used to do was I used to listen to a meditation the first thing in the morning. So I know some people don't keep their phones next to them. They might keep them in the other room, and that's fine. Just go get it. But I found even just listening to like a 5-10 minute, it could just be music, or it could be a guided meditation, or like a motivational speech or something. just something just to wake up to, because not everyone just springs out of bed and can get to it. I find having a ritual every morning and sticking to it is a good way to help you start your day. So I would start off with a meditation. After that, I love coffee, so I would make myself a coffee. I would always sit outside unless the weather was horrible, but I'd always sit outside without my phone and I'd just sit and enjoy. So one thing is, a lot of people think when you wake up, you just have to wake up and start doing things and you have to be go, go, go. You can still be still for a moment and just not do anything. Depending on your routine, morning shower, night shower, it's all just about keeping the start of your day positive. So anything that stresses you out, or any tasks that you don't enjoy doing, or things that you don't really like to deal with, that you don't have to deal with in the morning, don't deal with them. Don't deal with them.
Yeah.
So if you hate checking emails, for example, don't check emails in the morning, because if you're going to do something that you hate, it's going to make you feel a bit shitty because you're doing something that you don't like. So steer away from all those tasks and things that you don't enjoy in the morning, and just allow yourself enough time as well. There's nothing more stressful than waking up and having to literally run around and get your shit together and go. So I know some people struggle to get up early. I don't sleep a lot, so I go to sleep very late and I can get up early. But it's just really important to allow yourself some time too, because there's nothing more stressful than trying to get ready really quickly in the morning. You basically allow no time to set the tone for your day.
And look, most of you are not up to module 8 yet, but module 8, we do talk a lot about this as well. But something for me is, if you actually set the same alarm every day, you actually feel better. So your body clock starts to get out of whack. So say you're like, oh my God, I've had a really late night, I'm going to get up at 9 instead of 7. Your body clock will actually be out of whack and you'll actually be tired after sleep again. Yeah. Something I've definitely noticed is, when my morning routine is thrown, I'm actually really unproductive. So last week, for example, so normally I'm sort of up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Rob's usually leaving for work then. I get up and do my thing in the morning. I'm a very slow mover in the morning. I'm actually not naturally a morning person at all. But 2 days last week, I had to meet trades at the barbershop at 7 a.m. and it literally whacked me for the whole day. I was so out of it. I just couldn't get anything done. I was unproductive. I hadn't eaten properly. It was really, really bizarre. Yeah. So make a routine and actually stick to it, and do something that makes you happy every morning.
Definitely. And mine's
Set
coffee.
the mood for the day. Loz days coffee too. She doesn't talk to anyone. Don't talk to Loz before morning coffee.
I'm the same. Just don't interrupt me. Nothing. Just let me have my coffee.
And I think this is probably a good one to finish on then. Strategies to unwind and turn off, and like kind of give back to ourselves after giving so much to others. But strategies to unwind and turn off at the end of the day, because I know that's probably part of the reason why I'm like you. I'm sort of 5-6 hours a night person, but actually turning it off, switching your brain off, going to bed.
Cool. So I kind of touched base a little bit on this earlier, where I discussed kind of boundaries and time management. So again, it's really easy to get caught up in all the stuff that you have to do for your business, outside of salon hours, but you really just need to set boundaries on what you do. So I've got this, well, it's not my saying, but it's just something I say about filling your cup. So if your cup isn't full, or if your cup's empty, you're literally running on empty. You've got nothing left to give, and anything that you are giving, you're literally depleting your cup. So I look at the end of the day is that's a chance to actually just release whatever it is that you've been holding on to all day, that's, weighed you down, anything, just letting go of all of it and just focusing on filling your cup again and getting rest. So I can hear even though I got my headphones on, I can hear my baby crying. It's probably because he's okay. So it's totally fine. I don't have to run off. He's got a dad.
Yeah. Exactly. Who's got fish and chips to a happy dad. Said, I feel this. I guess the question is how to fill your cup. My answer to that is do something that you like. Like literally, like I love nature. I love being near the beach. So if I'm really, really down and out, I'll go to the beach. I don't live really close to the beach, but I will one day. And also actually getting out and taking my dog for a walk and getting in fresh air. wind is actually really good for your energy and for your soul, like actually blowing that energy out of you. It sounds really weird because everybody hates wind. Wind is the worst, especially as hairdressers, we hate wind.
I mean, look, in regards to filling your cup, I could do a whole nother Zoom meeting on that. I guess, I mean, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it and help you come up with some specific things, but it really is just doing things that fill you up, that you enjoy. So if it's reading a book, if it's going for a walk, if it's having a glass of wine, if it's having a bath, if it's turning your phone off for an hour, it's all the little
turning off technology is so important.
It's all the little things. So don't try to focus on like one massive thing that you can do for yourself where you're like, oh my God, what can I do so my cup's overflowing? Like it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. And, my goal is to always keep my cup full, but depending on the day, sometimes it can drop down. Some days it's overflowing. Like I'm in the best fucking mood and I'm like, yep, here, take, because I'm overflowing. So it's really about just finding, it's very personal. It's about finding all the little things that light you up and actually make you happy. So for me, they're very simple little things. Like now that I'm a mum, it could be my son going to bed and me having a glass of wine because I don't drink anywhere near what I used to. Or it could just be, like leaving my phone, my laptop, everything in another room and watching an episode of Married at First Sight, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing when I get off this Zoom. Because I record
Same girl.
So good.
One thing for me too is whenever I'm like feeling really drained, my love tank's really empty, I'm feeling a bit two things. One, I think back to who I was when I was happy and what I was doing, what I was wearing. And I know you do this too, Kyra. What I was wearing. For me, matching underwear does it for me. I feel really good when I'm in matching underwear. Don't know why. Nobody knows, but it makes me feel really good. What I was wearing, what I was doing, what my habits were like, who I was spending time with. And I go back to those things. And another thing is I actually think back to, I get really deep into my sacral chakra and I think about who I was as a child. So for me, singing and playing guitar was a huge part of my life. So I've actually tried to adapt that and bring that back into my life now. I'm so happy for it because I actually tune out from all these other things and I sit there and I play my guitar and I sing my lungs out, not well, mind you, and it makes me really happy. So think back to the things of like, because usually when you've lost, usually when you're losing a bit of your love tank, a little bit of your mojo, a lot of it does stem back to who you were as a kid. You've lost that playfulness. You've lost that part of your life where you were so carefree and you had nothing to worry about. So think about what you were as a child and who you were as a child and what you actually liked.
Well, the thing is as well, there's been a lot of studies on it and they reckon that a lot of the triggers that we hold as adults, they're basically
between 0 and 8.
Yeah, between 0 and 8 is where all those things were imprinted. And
so guys with young children, don't fuck your kids up.
Basically, 8 and under.
They're like sponges. They absorb everything between 0 and 8 years old.
Yeah. They are literally like
and that's actually where. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me? Yeah, go.
No. I was like, no, it's actually where all your money stories come from. It's actually where all your relationship stories come from.
Relationship, money,
all your connections come from.
All that sort of stuff. And like, I will not go into this because this is a whole nother couple of Zoom meetings, but I've been doing a lot of study on epigenetics, and one of my other certifications is a creatrix transformologist. I will not go into that tonight. That's like
I'm timeline therapy, which is the same but different. Yeah.
So epigenetics is basically the study. It's a study that proves, or science that proves, that we carry ancestral trauma through our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So also certain things and like limiting beliefs, anxieties, fears that we hold can also be from past bloodlines. So from your mum, grandmother, great-grandmother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think they've proven that don't quote me, I will have to double check this. I can't remember if it's 10 or 12 generations that can carry that trauma. And really, as far as time goes, that's a massive amount of time. Also, just quickly with what Caitlyn was saying about thinking of a time that, like you were happy and what you were wearing. One thing that I do, and again, this might sound a little bit contradictory to what I was saying about anxiety and thinking about the future, but at the same time, if you're thinking about the future positively, this will work. So sometimes for me, I think about my future self. So I might think to myself, okay, so in 12 months time, I'm going to have X amount of coaching clients. I'm going to be doing this many seminars, this, that. And I think to myself, how would the Angeli of then, the future, be thinking? Like, what actions would I need to take in this very moment to reach my greatness, to get to that Angeli? So that's even a way of sort of motivating yourself to take action to reach your great future, the greater version of you in the future.
Totally. Getting smothered now. I love that. Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's really good. And I think it's really funny because when we talk about rational and irrational fears, so I carry one of my grandmother's fears, I don't know if it happened before her as well, of like rational fear of people breaking into my house. Yeah. So I will lock every door in my house and every window. I'll leave them locked. Yeah. But even crazy that with the connection that your traumas and your fears have with your body. Is Dad home? Go on. Go, Dad.
Yeah.
Where is he? Sorry. That's why he got up because Mom's home. Yeah. So for example, and I've got lots of books on this and there's lots of things that you can talk about too, but for example, if you've got chest problems and breathing problems and asthmatic problems, it actually comes from your father's side of your family and the relationship they had with your mother. So if you had a broken family, if you had a father who cheated on your mother, if you had something like that, you'll actually most likely have asthmatic problems. That's where that comes from. So
yeah,
pretty crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. Like that's as you know. Go so deep.
You just manifest. And you can manifest things happening in your body. So like. Example, I manifested cervical cancer from obviously having sexual trauma in my past. So it's pretty crazy what your body does in relation to your mind. So keeping your mind in check is obviously vital.
Very vital.
Is there anything else is there any other questions you guys have, or Angeli, is there anything that you would like to finish on here?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. This has been fun. I'm sort of like, do I say anything else? Because then I might not stop. Look, I'll be honest, I can't think of anything. Well, I can, but again, I will go off in tangents. But, you know, we all do have the power to live the life that we want. So we can't control external factors and we can't control people, but again, we can control how we respond to situations, how we learn from them, how we grow from them. We have the power to remove ourselves from situations that we don't like, put ourselves in situations that we like. Like at the end of the day, you know, that YOLO, but it's true. Like in this lifetime, in this physical body, you've got one go. So, you know, and we've all got the power to make the changes that we need to. Yeah. You just got to believe.
That's awesome.
I feel like I need to break out a song now, but I won't, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Doesn't look like there's any more questions. So thanks so much for today.
Thank you everyone as well for coming on and watching. Like as I said, when Caitlyn invited me, I was like, woo, awesome. But I didn't know how many people were going to be on this.
There's a few watching back after, I think.
Yeah, but I do really, really appreciate it. And even though I'm not actively doing hair, I'm still very much a hairdresser at heart. And so this is actually, this has just been nice. Feels like it's just like hanging with hair friends. It's, it's been
and
really,
they're all exactly the same
really
fears, same habits, same beliefs.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, gorgeous.
Thank you.